Countdown to Election Day. Long lines at polling locations across the state on the first day of early voting. Hello, everybody. I'm Denise Koch.
And I'm Nicole Baker. Well, so far, early voting is smashing records in areas like Baltimore City and Anne Arundel County.
We have team coverage at polling places across the state. Let's start with WJZ investigator Mike Helgren. He is in southeast Baltimore. And Mike, lots of excitement we're seeing in those lines.
A lot of enthusiasm, Denise and Nicole. So far statewide, 125,000 people have cast their ballots in person, and that's just as of 5 o'clock. We've still got 2 more hours to go here right now. Now, Chopper 13 is at Morgan State University. We've seen lines there as well. We've seen lines here at the Southeast Anchor Library, but everything is running smoothly.
If it was 10,000 people, I was standing in this line to vote.
The enthusiasm is high despite the long lines at polling places across Maryland for the first day of early voting.
My knees hurt, I'm freezing cold, and this is very powerful for me. My Nana is 83 years old, and she's going to be voting too. My dad, we care.
Many voters wanted to come in person, feeling it was more secure. Still, more than 1.5 million Marylanders have requested mail-in ballots, and more than half of those have been returned.
So far, so good today. We've had quite a few voters to come through.
We're talking, we social distancing.
I'm actually really happy to see it. Definitely happy that we're all coming out to make sure that we make the changes that we want to see happen.
From Oregon Ridge in Baltimore County to Morgan State University in the city, some voters lined up as early as 4 in the morning.
This is really my first time seeing a line this long, and I'm excited to see a lot of people are ready for change.
While some voters say they were unable to stand in the long lines.
I walk with a walker, and it's just too hard for me to stand up long.
They won't be stopped from casting their ballots.
Oh, no, definitely not.
In light of what's at stake, it's certainly time well spent.
The voters were masked and tried to maintain their distance during the pandemic, and there was visible security at many polling places.
I hope that everyone votes in every election. That's kind of what we're supposed to do, so it makes you proud to be a part of this democratic process.
Democracy in action, and an election official here just told me they are seeing a record day of turnout for early voting. Now the polls are open until 8 o'clock tonight, and if you are in line at 8 o'clock, you can still cast your ballot. If not, you can come back at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Reporting live in Southeast Baltimore, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
Mike, a good reminder, do not get out of line. We want to turn now to Rachel Menitoff at the Woodlawn Community Center in Baltimore County. Rachel, how is voter turnout there?
Nicole, the line over here in Baltimore County moving very efficiently. I've been told it takes anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes to cast your vote at this time of day. Many people telling us that it is tradition to come to this polling location and cast their vote in person. They say it's also an assurance that their vote will be counted. As is consistent with many polling locations, the line outside the Woodlawn Community Center wraps around the building even into the late afternoon.
I am 74 years old, and I have always voted in person.
Marcia Hicks says this has been her polling center for years.
It's important that I fill out my ballot and I put it through the machine.
Over in Harford County, it was a similar story. People did their best to social distance in the line outside, and of course once they reached the voting booth itself. Many people tell WJZ they feel more comfortable voting in person rather than by mail.
Make sure my voice is heard during this election. I think it's a critical election and a juncture in the history of our country.
Well, to show support for my candidate and get here early and get it done quick.
Here's a look at the lines outside Long Reach High School in Howard County. Those long lines typical of the first few days of early voting.
So I want to make sure I use my voice the first day of the early voting, just to make sure before I tell other people to use their voice, I make sure I did it first.
And so far, more than 1,200 people have already cast their ballots here at the Woodlawn Community Center, and those numbers are updated hourly. And as with all of the polling locations, this one will close at 8 o'clock tonight and then reopen again tomorrow at 7 a.m. We're live in Baltimore County tonight. I'm Rachel Menitoff for WJZ.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Well, safety is the top priority at polling sites across the state. Officials are wearing masks and face shields. There are hand sanitizing stations before you enter. As soon as you vote, your voting cubicle is wiped down. Voters say they felt that the process was seamless.
I would say it was great. It was very smooth, very efficient, very friendly as far as, keeping the spread of the germs down. Yes, I felt very safe.
Everyone's really here for, to cast their vote and express their opinion. And I think everyone's doing that really respectfully.
The Maryland Department of Health has also recruited health ambassadors to assist in handing out masks and wiping down frequently touched areas. If you would like to become one, we have a link on our website, WJZ.com. And if you still have some questions about voting, the ACLU wants to help. It has created a hotline where you can ask questions or report any issues at the polls. You can call or text the number that you'll see on your screen right there until 8 on Election Day. We also have this number on our website, WJZ.com.